Ralph here, and welcome to True Power Trumpet Fitness here on Thrilling Thursday in Norwalk, Connecticut. Life's good, man. Life's good. Anyway, life's good. You saw the thumbnail. The Arban Rules. The Arban Rules. You know of my love affair with Arban, and I'm going to accentuate that as long as you are following these videos. Okay? I've not played a note. Just got in from a bike ride, did a little kettlebell. Here I am. Let's see what we got, and we'll talk about the Arban Rules. Anyway, here we are. 20-mile bike ride, some kettlebells. No warm-up, hellacious double C's. A little Arban. See why life's good, man? See why life's good? Anyway, Arban. My lifelong love affair with Arban. It started with my father. He was my first teacher when I was 10 years old. 58 years later, 59 years later, I'm still working on it, man. One might say you should be pretty good at it by now. But anyway, guys, I love it. I love it. Now, I know it's not for everybody. I talk about this all the time when I talk about routines and all this sort of stuff, that you shouldn't necessarily have a routine per se. You should get right to the stuff you love. And that's what I do. That's what I do every single morning. Slam out some double C's, which I love doing, and then get right to the Arban, man. The basics. Now, I know all you jazz guys are going, yuck. I get it. I get it. An Arban solo can very easily be a Dizzy Gillespie solo or a Clifford Brown solo. You don't have to, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. A little different phrasing. Guys, it is the exact same thing. If you don't think Harry James and Adolph Herseth were doing the exact same thing, think again. Harry Glantz and Herseth. Harry Glantz and Harry James. Harry James and Horst Fischer. Horst Fischer and Maurice Andre. It's the same thing, baby. Now, what they all did with their sound and the purity of tone and the phrasing, that's a different thing. They're all doing the same thing, man. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject. Arban. Again, started when I was a kid. My father gave me his book that he had as a kid. It was all beat up, you know, water torn and water stained and all this sort of stuff. And then I just lived it for the next 8 years until I went to New York to study with Vacchiano. And I brought that same beat up book. He had me get another one. There was a lot of stuff missing, pages and whatnot. Salmoni, what'd you do to this? I said, it was my father's. We both played it. Okay. Salmoni, you can play the Arban. You can play anything. And I'm thinking, dude, I'm golden. I can play the Arban. Couldn't quite play it the way he wanted me to play it, in all keys and everything. But that's, again, we're getting off the subject. He opened up the first characteristic study. Salmoni, look at this. Can you play this? And I played what I just played for you. First quarter of a page. half a page, whatever. It's a Salmon. You can play this, you can play anything. And he was right. He said, if you can play this, can you play Petrushka? Of course you can. Guys, if you can play that, you can play what Harry James was playing. If you can play, it's the same thing. But you've got all the basics there. Now, I've taken it a step farther over the years, and you've all heard it. According to Vacchiano, if you can play that, you can play anything. Okay? If you can play that and play it up an octave as well, then you're a star. Now, I talk endlessly, and especially recently, about the void at the top. The void at the top that Maurice left us. It's just a vacuum, man, and nobody's filled it. Nobody's filled it. Nobody's come close. And God bless him. And he's the greatest that ever lived. And until somebody beats it, I don't know. One of my students sent me a lot of stuff by Gunter Betz. I'm going to sift through it. He was close, man, but he's not out there doing it 250 dates a year. And there's something to be said for that. What Maurice did was incredible. But anyway, what did he do? What were his chops? Arban. 3 to 5 hours a day. That's how he did it. The great Adolf Scherbaum. The great Adolf Scherbaum. Maurice and Scherbaum, maybe two of the greatest chops players. Whether you like the style or whatever, that's not the point. Two greatest chops players that ever played. And what did he do? Arban. Arban characteristic studies all day long, and he started taking it up an octave. Okay? Now, here's the deal, and I've said this before. You want to fill that void, it can be done, guys. Get yourself a 1SB. Get the chops, and make no mistake about it. I've said this before. Maurice and Scherbaum were flat-out stone-cold screamers. It was more refined, it was more elegant than what Maynard was doing, and Harry J. There's no question about that, but they were screamers. And anybody that tells you, don't worry about it, all you have to do is play up to a high C, no, that's a lie. They're lying to you. All the great players had great chops, for the most part, okay? All the great players had great chops, okay? Even somebody like Clark Terry had great chops when he was younger. Great chops. It got a little weird when he was, when he was older, started scat singing and stuff, but he was more of a jazz guy than a chops guy. Anyway, once again, I'm getting off. Wait, I was talking about Arban here, and I end up with Clark Terry. Okay? But what they did was, you get the chops. Now, you can't just take your 1 1/4 C and just slave over Arban hour after hour after hour and abuse your chops and think you're going to be a great player. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. You get your 1SB. You relax the corners. You get yourself a book. Thicker tongue. That will give you the Andre chops. That will give you the Scherbaum chops. And from there, you take it wherever you want. But there is no question in the world. Guys, those chops, the chops now, not the virtuosity, not the genius, the chops I'm talking about, can be attained by anyone. And you combine it with the Arban, Salmon. You play the Arban, you play anything. That's not me. That's William Vacchiano, probably the greatest trumpet teacher in the history of trumpet. That's what he did. Basics. Now, from there, once you get that, you transfer it to the classical orchestral? Absolutely. Absolutely. You haven't learned everything. You have literature. I'm talking about playing the trumpet. Everything you have is right there in one book. A 1SB mouthpiece, a $10 True Power to the Max, double C Manifesto. Guys, that's it. That's it. And the Arban will get you there. Now, if you don't, perfect example. If Arban is not your thing, if you want to be a jazz player, what did John Faddis, the great John Faddis, do when he was a kid? By the time he was 16 years old, he had every single one of Dizzy Gillespie's solos memorized. Now, he had double C's when he was 16 years old. All he did, guys, was replace the Arban with Dizzy Gillespie solos. Guys, that is it. If you can play the Arban characteristic study, and you can play a double C, you can play the Brandenburg, you can play the Tartini, you can play all the Talamon literature, Albinoni, guys, that is it. It's as simple as that. All right? All right. Anyway, eat and drink your fruits and vegetables, get a 1SB, get your Arban book, and fill that void at the top. I'm too old, man. I'm too old. It's up to you. Love you all.